What is going on, everyone? Welcome to 12th Man Up. My name is David Pelleton, and we're going to be creating a new channel that is focused on the Seattle Seahawks, everything from the players to the coaching, front office, and ownership. So I'm hoping you could stick around and watch as many videos as I could possibly put up. I am actually not from Seattle, though. I'm from Southern California. So if there's any Southern California Seahawk fans out there, please comment below. That'd be great. To start off, I want to get into last season and just kind of go over what happened a little bit. It was definitely a rough season for us, for a team that's gone to the playoffs for so many years. We're just going to dig into what happened. For each video, we're going to be doing a question of the day. And so for today, the question is, should we blame Russell Wilson for the losing season or the coaching staff? And I guess the correct answer would be a little bit of both. But we're going to get into last season. And to start, I just want to talk about what I feel like Seattle did a lot of. And when it comes to, like, let's say Pete Carroll's philosophy, which was always run the ball, and then it's 3rd and 4, and throw the ball 20 yards to Metcalf, and hopefully he'll catch it. And that was just not successful every single time. I mean, sometimes it was, but it wasn't all the time. And so I feel like we probably would have been a little more successful if we did more checkdowns and we would just kind of throw the ball for, like, I don't know, 12 yards. Maybe do a slant. What do I know? Anyways, I was actually looking forward to this previous season when we had picked up Shane Waldron as our offensive coordinator. I thought, man, we got Shane Waldron. We're going to change things up. We're going to probably throw the ball a little more, and we're going to kind of build a little more around Russell Wilson, let Russ cook. But that just didn't work out. And we're going to get into the first game of the season, which is the Seahawks versus the Colts. And the Colts had just picked up Carson Wentz. So they were a solid team. If they didn't blow it against the Jaguars, they would have gone to the playoffs. But when we played them, it was a solid win. We won 28-16. Wilson threw for 254 yards. He had a good game. I remember he threw that touchdown pass right over Lockett's head in the end zone, and I'm like, here we go. We're ready. We're gonna compete, and we're gonna be a good team this season, competing in that NFC West. And I thought we were gonna be playoff bound. I had made a bet with a Cowboys fan that the Seahawks would have a better record than the Cowboys by the end of the season. Luckily, it was $20, and I wanted to bet 100. So thankfully, he declined the 100 and said the 20. But it was a humbling $20 payment. Okay, and then we played Tennessee. And it was like an early wake-up call because we lost 33-30 in overtime. But Wilson threw pretty well that day. He threw for 343 yards. Carson didn't run the ball enough. Lockett had 178 yards receiving, but we just didn't run the ball well. But that's not our offense's fault. I mean, we scored 30 points. I think it's our defense's fault, and that's when everyone was saying fire Ken Norton, which I was saying as well. Yeah, our defense was struggling then, but it was like an early wake-up call, and it was like, okay, 1-1, it's not the end of the world. We're going to get it figured out. And one thing I noticed with the receivers was it was always either Metcalf or Lockett getting the ball a lot in one game. I never felt like they evenly got the ball distributed throughout the entire game. And I wish we would have done more of that. I wish we would have done more checkdowns. But going to Minnesota, it's like, okay, Minnesota's a decent team. We got to step up our game. And we lost 30-17. Wilson threw for 298. Carson ran for 80 yards, which isn't terrible. And then Metcalf had his day for 170 yards. And we still lost. We gave Minnesota 30 points. And that was our defense's fault. And that's when everyone was still chanting, fire Ken Norton. And then before we all started just saying, fire Pete Carroll. And then we played San Francisco. We have their number. We beat them 28-21. So we're 2-2. Very good. And then we're going to play Los Angeles. And that's when everything changes because Russell Wilson broke that finger. And it's like, uh-oh, what now? We don't even have a winning record. And we needed Geno Smith to come in. And Geno Smith played fine, but he is not a starting quarterback at all. We played against Pittsburgh the next week after we lost to the Rams. And we lost in overtime, which was a struggle. It wasn't terrible. We could have done more. I think I think in overtime we had the chance to win, but I think we blew it offensively. I have to go back and rewatch that. And then we played New Orleans, and this is when I was really upset because New Orleans, they don't have Drew Brees. They have who did they have? Can't think of the name right now. Was it Jameis Winston starting? I don't remember. But we lost 13-10 in that game. How does a team get 13 points and beat us? That is not okay. So Geno Smith didn't do enough. Our run game didn't do enough because Carson, of course, decided to get injured in week 3 against Minnesota. So thank you. That was great. He's so good at that. Past couple seasons, he's been great at getting injured. So we had Collins come in, and Collins wasn't doing enough. And then we played Jacksonville, and Jacksonville is doo-doo. So we kind of wiped the floor with them. Thankfully, Geno played good. Lockett had a game that day. And we got the win 31-7. It was like, okay, we were 3-5, 2-5 going into that game, and we needed a wake-up call. And we finally won going into the bye week. And then we hear Russell Wilson's coming back. Russell Wilson's coming back after the bye week, and he's playing against Green Bay. Oh, my goodness. We only have 5 losses. We're going to bounce back, and we're going to possibly get into the playoffs. Let's try to make a playoff run. I was still trying to be optimistic, And we lost 17-0 against Green Bay. We didn't score a single point against Green Bay. It was like, what happened? Wilson was not ready to play. He couldn't throw the ball. I mean, what were you guys doing during practice? It was bad. It was really bad. And this is actually when our defense decided to step it up. And these next games where we actually lost, our defense did well. I mean, we held Green Bay to 17 points. We couldn't run the ball well either. I mean, Collins that game had only 41 yards. How could a team that has a philosophy, which is run the ball, be so terrible at running the ball? And so this was a definitely a frustration as a fan. And then we play Arizona. We lose 23-13. We play the Washington football team, and we lose 17-15. And Wilson actually threw for 247 that day, which is better, but just wasn't enough. And our running that game wasn't good either. And then we played San Francisco. And, if there is one thing I can be happy about, it's that we have San Francisco's number. Ever since I've been a Seattle fan, I have not liked San Francisco. So it was nice to beat them both times this past season. And we came out playing, we came out that game and it was pretty sloppy at first. But then we kind of came back and we won 30-23. So I'm happy about that. Let's see how we did do running that game. Actually, we ran the ball. We ran the ball for 80 yards with Travis Homer, which is okay. Wilson threw for 231, and then Lockett only had 68 yards, which is okay. We play Houston, smack them around a little bit. So we're 5-8. It's just like, can we get back to this? Can we win these next games? Can we at least get to 500? That's what we're hoping. Can we just get to 500? And we play LA, and I actually went to this game. Whew, it was tough. We only scored 10 points. We didn't do enough running the ball. We only ran for 41 yards with DJ Dallas, and it was bad. What's interesting is the game before where we played Houston, Penny really shined, and he ran for 137 yards. But that just – and we beat Houston because of that. But then we play LA, and – I guess Penny didn't play at all, or I don't know. I don't remember what happened that game, but Dallas had the most yards. DJ Dallas had the most yards for only 41, which is not enough. Wilson didn't throw the ball well enough, and we lost 20-10. And our defense was actually kind of holding pretty well, but offensively we just didn't do enough. And that stunk because I went to that game, and I ended up being stuck in traffic in the parking lot afterwards for like an hour. So, yeah, it was a blast. Moving on against Chicago. Remember that game in with Chicago? It was at home and it was snowing, and it was like, okay, well at least we get a fun game here, a little snow game. I know a couple Seattle fans had turned off the TV at this point. I was still watching, and we started out actually doing really well against Chicago. We had that nice ball to DK Metcalf for the touchdown, and it was like, oh, okay, we're gonna at least beat Chicago. This is good, and we didn't. We lost, and this is with Penny running 135 yards. So our defense did not do enough to stop them. It's like we allowed them to go downfield and score on us. There's always been like this philosophy as well with Seattle, which is let the offense of the opposing team go down the field, but then when they get to the red zone, stop them. No, don't we want to be in control of the clock? If they're burning the clock the entire time, then we're not gonna have then we're gonna have to have Russell Wilson take the ball in the fourth quarter for the 100th time and save us. And I was pretty sick of that. And I would prefer a team that would, stop them on the first time they try to get a first down. But, that's just, my opinion. And then we played Detroit. We were 5-10 going against Detroit. And we when it doesn't even count anymore, of course, we smacked them around and we won 51-29, which it's positive. It's a good thing. Okay, Wilson's finger is healed now. He threw for 236 yards. We'll be good for next season. Penny ran for 170 yards. This will be great. We could re-sign Penny and have Penny and Wilson go at it again next season. And we play Arizona, who is going into the playoffs. Now, I think they had a couple of injuries, but they're still a playoff team. And we beat them 38-30 with Wilson throwing for 238 and Penny running for 190 yards. So there were things to be optimistic about going into this offseason. And then we decided to trade Russell Wilson. And that was upsetting for me. As you could tell, I am a huge Wilson fan. Wilson is all I've known. I started watching Seattle back in 2012 when they first picked him up. And so I don't know any other way. So it will definitely be different. But I'm excited and I want to be optimistic. We have Drew Lock. And I think he'll be good for this season. And we'll see how he does. And if he's not so great, which is a possibility, then we could pick up a quarterback next season in the draft, which is what I'm hoping for. I'm not huge on the quarterbacks this season. I know everyone's talking about Malik Willis, but I would prefer that we just kind of see how Drew Lock does this season, let him prove himself, and then if he still doesn't do well enough, then draft a quarterback. The thing that I do like about what Seattle is doing is they don't have a lot of long-term contracts right now going into this offseason. They have Tyler Lockett, who is finishing up his contract in, I think, a year or two. And then they signed Quandre Diggs for another big deal. They signed Will Dissly for another big deal. And then outside of those three guys, a lot of our contracts are one-year deals. Like Rashad Penny. We signed him for a one-year deal, and that's perfect because he's been injured a lot lately. And he did really good at the tail end of the season. He was like the best running back at the last 5 games of the season there. So if he does really well this season, I'm like, give him a big contract. Let him prove himself. So I am happy about that. But after trading Russell Wilson, we got all these draft picks. And I'm going over our draft history from the past several years, and it's not great. It's okay. We got a couple of decent players. In 2020, we got Jordan Brooks, Darrell Taylor, a couple solid players. And, back in 2019, we got DK Metcalf, which was good. But, it hasn't been great. It really hasn't been great. We spent our first-round pick on Rashad Penny. And even though I'm happy he's coming back, he hasn't lived up to the hype, in my opinion, for the past several years. Probably because he's been injured. But I was surprised that Jody Allen, after the season, that whatever meeting that she had with John Snyder and Pete Carroll, that she was trusting them to get rid of Russell Wilson and get these draft picks and to kind of recreate the team. I don't know what her mindset's at right now. I don't know if she even wants to be owning the team right now. I heard something from actually Brendan Nelson on YouTube. He also makes videos on the Seahawks that Paul Allen had made a deal about how many years he has to own the Seahawks before he could sell them. And so I wonder if that's true and if Jody Allen is just kind of given up on the team a little bit and is just owning them because she has to for a certain amount of time. But I want to be as optimistic as possible going into the season. And what I do like is Pete and John, they're not showing their cards. They have a lot of different options. If this season doesn't turn out well, they're able to move players around because they don't have a lot of long-term deals. And so this is probably most likely going to be a rebuilding season. I understand Pete Carroll said in the press conference after they got rid of Wilson, which is, we're not going to be rebuilding. We're in it to win it every single season. But in all reality, We'll see, because we don't know how this team's going to do. But I'm optimistic. There's a lot of different players that we could pick up in the draft that can help us. Hopefully, some offensive linemen would be great. Yeah, and so some players on defense would be great as well. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. I'm looking forward to making more videos with you guys, and we're going to be talking about many different things, especially, in fact, Bobby got traded to the Rams. Not traded, I'm sorry. He got picked up by the Rams. We let go of Bobby. And so the Rams are in it to win it again this season, which is not a surprise. But it's going to be interesting playing against Bobby, who was definitely one of my favorite players on Seattle. So playing him twice a year will be interesting. Seeing Russell Wilson in an orange jersey will be interesting. But there's a lot to talk about. And so I'm excited to kind of engage with all of you 12s and even the 12s here in Southern California. So feel free to comment. Like I said, the question of the day, should we blame Wilson for the losing season or the coaching staff? Feel free to comment below. I really want to engage as much as I can with you guys. So thank you so much, and I look forward to talking with all of you.